All right. Hello. Welcome to the Dr. Kirstin Show. I'm your host, Dr. Kirstin Lauritsen, and today I have Ken Westgaard with me. He is the Mindful Money Mentor, and I'm so excited. I was so inspired by his story that I caught wind of, and so I'm very, very excited to get to chat with you today. Talking about money, we're talking about purpose and legacy and alignment and so many other really just what transformation can look like and like kind of the not so fun parts of what it can look like and then
Yeah,
what it can turn into on the other side. So I'm so excited to have you. Thanks for being on the show.
I am really excited to be on the show because this is the first time I get to share this story. So, yeah, I'm really excited.
Awesome. Okay. Well, right before we press record, you mentioned that you're in Norway, which for some of you who listen to and watch the show, you may know that I'm also from Norway as well. My family is from Norway, so this was a super fun connection that we got to make. But why don't you go ahead and
Yeah.
introduce yourself a little bit? What's your background? What do you do? We could go from there.
The usual,
The
right, right.
usual.
Well, like you said, I'm from Norway. I'm now divorced, but I do have two kids, and I have them 50% of the time, which is a whole new chapter for me. And I've been in the online space for, I think it's almost 12 years now. Trying to build a business next to having a full-time job and also just being full-time in the business, but then taking a step back and getting a job again just to make sure that, I'm financially stable.
Yeah.
But I've been through like pretty much everything. Like I've been through graphic design, web design, email
Yeah.
marketing, launching, and sales pages was the last thing that I was through. Like it seems like I've been through a lot, and I have, and there's a lot of knowledge that comes with it, which is great. But now I kind of pivoted again, but this time it feels much more aligned, much more purposeful, and different. It just feels very, very right. And
Mm,
now I get to take all of that knowledge and use it with this new endeavor, which is really good.
yeah. I love it. And what's the new endeavor?
So the new endeavor is, mending your relationship with money, basically, because that is a journey that I've been on very recently, in the past, I would say 3 months, and it's been really good, just to see the amazing transformation I've had personally, because I've been struggling with the money for years. It's always been like this enemy and the thing that you don't want to talk about and you don't want to discuss, debt or anything like how you're struggling or anything like that, because there's a lot of shame and a lot of guilt around
Tons.
that. So,
Tons.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so fascinating. I'm so glad that you brought that up because I was actually really thinking about this in my personal life. As far as just being an entrepreneur, you end up learning so many different things that you don't really anticipate needing to learn. How to
Yeah.
build sales pages, how do you do copy, how do you, become an email marketer? Like how do you do all of these things? Learn to, promote your offers and create a good offer and all of those steps and all of those things. It's an entire learning process all on its own. And it's so
Yeah.
fascinating uh how much there is really to learn.
Yeah, you
And
wear a
how
lot
it
of hats.
Yes, yeah, yeah. And it's definitely been such an interesting journey for myself as well, just learning, all of those bits and pieces. And then as it all starts to, kind of come together, what that ends up looking like. So I'm very excited to talk about the money piece of it because as you mentioned, there is so much shame, there's so much guilt usually talking about
Yeah.
money. There can be so much fear and so much pressure around it as well, which makes it really
Hmm.
difficult to make money and to also keep
Yeah.
it and to receive it. So, first off, let's go ahead and just jump straight into where you mentioned when we were chatting about your kind of breakdown of kind of what happened. It was in March, and you can kind of take it from here, but just what, what sorts of things were you carrying that just kind of all of a sudden really caught up with you, and then what happened from there?
Well, I certainly wasn't that aware of like the money being the problem at that
Hmm.
time, but
Hmm.
it was weighing on me because we were struggling,
Hmm.
financially. And it always seemed to like land on me to kind of fix things, handle things, make more money, while I was being supported by now my ex-wife, it still was like this little, you know, sting that, you need to make more money in your business.
Yeah.
And you try to do that, but as you both know, it's not always easy in an online business, and especially if you're not
Yeah.
like 100% sure, like what is your path, what do you want to do, what's the purpose of everything that you do.
Mhm.
Because I spent the last 12 years trying to figure out like what is it that I want to do, and every time I figure it out, quote unquote, it's not the thing. And then you pivot and you do another thing, and then you pivot
Yes.
and do another thing. And every time you say like, oh, this is the thing, this is it feels right, And to some extent, it is probably true then and there, but
Yeah.
turns out it wasn't. But
Mhm.
that was like the whole thing. Like it was just a lot of bills, didn't know how to figure it out. And
Yeah.
for the first time, like I really had a total breakdown. The nervous system got all screwed up, and
Yep.
I was crying and decided to actually share that within the group that we're in.
Yeah.
And the response was amazing. There was a lot of love, a lot of support. I had a few people that we chatted with, and it was amazing just to see how people responded, especially in that group where I feel like those people, there's like no judgment. Like everything is allowed, and people will support you, and they will love you. They will never talk down to you in any kind of way. And I love that, and I think we definitely need more of that,
Yeah. Yep.
especially around money as well. But yeah, that was like the moment that I didn't know was the moment at the time. But obviously,
Mhm.
reflecting back on it, I can definitely see that that was one of the first moments that something changed.
Yeah. Well, yes, as an entrepreneur, I do know that pivoting can be so tricky, and it happens. I mean, I've been through many, 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 many pivots.
Love it.
And
I'm not alone. Thank
you know,
God.
you're definitely not alone. And it is really interesting though, because one of the things that has sort of come back and circled back is uh, well, for a long time I was working with athletes, and pro athletes, and just people who were like they were just doing big stuff, with their
Right.
careers and with their life. And if they weren't pro athletes, they were still really, at this kind of like high performing level. And so a lot of what I, talked about was performance. And then I became a mom, and then I was like, oh my gosh, there's so much here. And so I pivoted to, helping moms. But what's been so
Right.
fascinating is that it's come back around, and I'm back in, talking to high performers, to business owners, to entrepreneurs, to, big business founders, because as we're talking about alignment and all of that pivoting, there is something that always kind of circles back in a way. And I found it
Yeah.
so interesting just recently when someone reflected back to me, like, this is where you are, like, this is where you specialize in, this is your expertise, so to speak, and everything that you
Hmm.
do centers around performance. And it was so cool to get to see. And I could have gotten really bogged down in like, what am I doing? Like, are
I
people
can't
gonna
seem to figure
follow
this
me
out.
here? Yeah. But the reality is that, what was cool about it was I was like, okay, well, this is actually just reminding me of what I'm meant to do, and what I'm meant to be sharing, and how I'm meant to really serve and help people. So it actually felt really affirming in that sense, because I was like, okay, well, this is great. Like, we'll just
Yeah.
keep. And I went right back to it, and it's just felt so much easier, which I love. So,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah. I mean, not to interrupt, but yeah, I
no, go
can
ahead.
relate to that because
Yeah.
like helping people with money, yeah, it could be anyone, but I can also help people that are entrepreneurs because I've been through that particular thing as well. Like I
Yeah.
know what it's like to be an online entrepreneur and struggle with money
Yeah.
because it's not coming in as you expect. Like it's one thing to get like a salary, it's coming every month and you know how much it is. Like gives you, predictability, but as an entrepreneur, you don't have that. And it's
No.
maybe even harder on you. So it's coming back around again.
Yeah, that the unpredictability is really tough.
It is.
It's so hard. Um, and yeah, so I would love to, so we'll probably circle back around to that, and talking about like the just kind of the weight of not necessarily knowing well, and maybe also we can talk a little bit about how you transitioned from a full-time job to then back to a full-time job, and how much that has shifted for you as far as even in like your business side of things too. But from then having that kind of like breakdown in March and then starting to kind of see how the path aligned, what started to shift and change and transform for you when you started realizing like I need to really start putting myself first and going from there. What sort of things shifted for you when you started to realize that?
Well, it definitely is probably one of the hardest thing I've done is like the divorce, obviously.
Yeah,
It's not something that is easy to admit or even say and discuss.
yeah,
But it started as a fight, as it usually does, and you say something and
yep,
it ends up being like, oh shit, I actually said it. Like, oh boy. So it took a couple of days, and I told her that we have to talk about what was said, and that's kind of when it started to start unfold, and we like had a big talk, and we had to sit down with the kids and talk with them, and that is by far the hardest thing I get done. I didn't last like 3 seconds before I broke down and cried, and the
sure.
kids cried, and yeah,
Yeah,
it was. But they're now 12 and 14, so
yeah.
they can handle it, but it's
Mhm.
still like it broke my heart.
Mhm.
It's not fun at all, but at the same time, it was something that I had been thinking about, but I was afraid to say. I didn't have the
Yeah.
courage to say it, and I felt comfortable enough, to stay in that relationship,
Mhm.
because you get comfortable. It's just the way it is.
Yeah.
But then, once I said it, I realized that it was the right thing to do, and from there on, throughout the summer, pretty much, I started to see like I wasn't putting myself first. I wasn't doing things for myself at all, and
Yep.
always putting myself in the back seat. It was always the kid, wife,
Yep.
house,
Yep.
all of those things. So it just felt good to be able to just not be responsible for everything.
Mm.
Um, so yeah, that's kind of where things
Yeah.
started.
I'm actually curious, was there anything in particular that you were doing or working on prior to March? So like even in 2024 that was like starting out some of this like kind of transformation was it that just kind of brought some of this around?
Well, it was back in like October, November 24,
Mm-hmm.
where I started to move into sales pages and taking on this new identity of being the guy who does sales pages. And
Okay.
it felt really aligned at that time. Like
Mm-hmm.
it moved really quickly. I had great momentum. Nothing was forced in kind of a sense. So it was like a new sense of hmm, like this seems like it's the thing. And I went like head on with that. And
Mm.
it was really good for a while. And then I invested in some coaching, which was about $10,000. It was that is like a huge lump of money.
Yeah.
And I questioned it, should I do it? But it felt right because now like I know what I'm gonna do. Okay, we're gonna like go all in on it, and it didn't go as planned, and a lot of things happened, and obviously I wasn't making the money that I needed to pay off this coaching that I was in.
Yeah.
And credits to them, like they were super generous and then like really extended my period and helped me, and I could like split up the payments, and I was
Yeah.
actually finished with the last payment now in December, and I
Yeah.
was supposed to pay that in, I think it was like June or something like that. That was like the
Yeah.
last time that I should have paid it, but they were super
Yes.
generous and really understand on. And
That's great.
yeah, that helped a lot.
Mhm.
But that was felt like a mistake at the time. But obviously, nothing is a mistake in that sense. You still
Uh-huh.
learn something. But
Yeah.
yeah, looking back at it now, maybe I shouldn't have done that. But at the same time, every decision that you make takes you to where you are right now. So,
Mhm. Mhm.
you know,
Yeah. Catalysts. Is what I call them. And
exactly.
it's true because like I talk about this also a lot is like when you start investing, especially too at like kind of those higher levels, 10, 20, 30, $40,000, especially like in your business and even more than that. Um, it basically, and also not just in business, but also in your health too. It puts something behind it. You know what I mean? Like your subconscious mind basically is like, oh, you're serious about this. And it will
Mhm.
kick off a bunch of different things that you don't know are coming, but it kicks off a transformation because when you start, like when we start making decisions like that, it basically says like, okay, we're serious about figuring this piece out. Now, what has to actually shift and change in order for us to
Mm,
actually be able to hold what we're saying we want? And
yeah.
that you don't know always what the outcome of those things are going to be, as your story clearly, right, has shown. But and we never really know too like what sort of changes are going to need to happen, but they do start to happen. I would venture to say that it may feel like a financial mistake per se, but it probably is a piece of the puzzle of which, it kind of set off this catalyst. It became a catalyst for change for you. And
Yeah.
I just think it's so fascinating. I love talking about these stories because when you start seeing like, okay, well, I started making these decisions and I started saying like, okay, I'm really serious about making this happen. The shifts and changes that then do start to come from that, whether we're consciously aware of trying to make them or not,
Right.
um, they don't always have to end in things like divorce or, kind of these big,
No, no,
huge,
no.
huge life, changes, but they sometimes do. And
Yeah.
I think that's why it's really important to talk about them because the most of the time when I talk to people who have gone through a transformational journey like yourself, they don't look back and necessarily say, like you mentioned, you were like, well, I'd been thinking about it, but I really hadn't had the courage or really come up to the point of being able to say, okay, this is the time. Like we really need to discuss this and probably make some moves here. But I don't know, it's just one of those things where you never really know what is going to come, but usually we're aware of it. And usually people look back and they're like, well, as much as I don't love what happened, like it was coming. And so,
Right. Yeah,
you
that is
know,
true.
yeah. So like making these choices and making these decisions, they can be that thing that basically brings it all to a front and says, okay, we actually need to look at this. And that's such a big thing for health too. One of the things that you talked about was when you started putting yourself first, the things that did shift for you and for your health. And part of it part of it is actually being able to recognize those things and saying, okay, like actually I do need to do this. I need to become more grounded. I need to eat better. I need to, and you start
Yeah.
losing weight. You start making all of these bigger shifts in your life. Not that they have to happen necessarily because of a divorce. They can happen
No.
within a relationship
Sure.
still,
Yeah.
but these making these kinds of decisions are the thing that kind of back it up and basically say, okay, like I'm actually really serious about this and I want to do this. How it turns out, it's a whole
Yeah.
other game.
Yeah, but
Um,
it's true. And
yeah,
it's funny because a lot of people will like call it like, oh, this is a midlife crisis, oh, he's in his 40s, mid 40s,
totally.
classic. But it has nothing to do with that at all because it wasn't about being in a crisis. It was just I didn't feel like I could be the person I wanted to be or needed to be. So something needed to change, and that was the thing that needed to change.
Yep.
Even, it's heartbreaking, obviously,
Yeah.
but it was about just me putting myself first for like the first time. Look, because we've been together like for 24 years, and
Mm.
so
Hmm.
that's, early 20s, and we've been together for all that time. So obviously it's a long time. Not that I don't regret anything like at all. It's just that
Yeah.
we probably should have had that conversation a couple of years ago, even maybe before
Yeah.
that. But it is what it is, and things happen for a reason. I do
They
believe
do.
that.
Yeah, they do. You've mentioned a few times facing your relationship with money instead of avoiding it, and I would love to kind of hear a little bit more about what sort of things you started coming up for you and what you needed to actually face instead of, continuing to avoid or ignore it.
Yeah, well, obviously we being married, you have a lot of common things in the
Yes.
financial
Yes.
department. But now it's like, okay, now we separate everything. Like this is my part, this is your part. You pay 50%. At the time we do share the house still, but we live here bi-weekly, so we
Oh,
live with our
cool.
parents the other week
Sure.
until we sell it. Hopefully
Okay.
she will buy me out because it's her childhood home, so she wants to keep it. We'll see how that
Oh,
turns
yeah,
out.
yeah. Okay.
But obviously then 50-50 on all the expenses and then obviously trying to clean up my stuff on my
Mm,
end.
mhm.
I really had to like get, strategic about it and spreadsheets and budget and all that stuff, the boring stuff. But I needed to like, okay, what is the big picture of like how much debt do I have? What do I owe? What do I need to pay now? And blah, blah, blah.
Mhm.
And I already like during the summer, I started to see like, okay, September, October. Oh, damn, that's gonna be, I don't know how I'm gonna be able to do that, but okay. Still,
Yes.
there's still time. And usually things work out. They do. Just not always how you plan it, but I really didn't know like how I'm gonna get through those 2 months.
Yeah.
So that was like a big thing for me, just to figure out like how do I get through those months because the business wasn't going anywhere kind of, and you try to push that a little bit more and come up with some new offers and do
Yep.
some sales and yeah, but it just wasn't happening, although a lot of good things did happen,
Hmm.
not saying that it didn't, but it was yeah, it was kind of daunting to just look at that calendar just knowing that it's coming and I don't know what to do with it, and that is, I don't even know how to put it, but it just screws with your mind and you're not able to do what you need to do at some time.
Yeah. I don't know about you, but for me, I think one of the hardest parts about all of that is like you're, for me at least, I'm always so hopeful of like, okay, this is gonna turn, this is gonna be the
Yep.
thing, like it's gonna work, it's gonna, turn into this thing that I want it to. Um, And that I think is always the like really, really hard part is like I really am excited about what the possibilities are, here. And when they don't come to fruition in the way that you think that you want them to, it's just it takes a certain level of like uh dedication, I guess, but also just
Yeah,
saying like,
resilience.
yeah, and
Like you got to
resilience.
stick it out. You,
Yep.
you don't quit. You just keep going because you
Yep.
still believe that this, somehow, some way, I
It's
am going to make this work, right?
gonna happen.
Yeah. And I keep saying that every single time, and every single time it doesn't. It's like, come on, Ken, when are you going to realize that this is not for you? But no, I agree. Like
Hmm.
like I even caught myself saying this, like after going through the whole fixing my relationship with money,
Yep.
I actually had success because I did it to myself. And I'm
Yeah.
not gonna like it happened within a span of 30 days to the day, actually, which was really
Hmm.
amazing. So I have a success story. I have a case study, and it's me.
Hmm.
And it's not like I have to prove to anyone that I can help them or fix things for them because I've done it for myself. And
Yep.
that has never happened before. Like everything that I've done has been for someone else, and I've never been able to do it for myself. That doesn't mean
Oh,
that I
that's
didn't know what I was doing, but it just didn't translate in that kind of way. So I never had that, like, okay, I know what I'm doing because I've proven it to myself. Like, no, I haven't. I've had some success with a few clients, but not really for myself. So that was a big,
yeah.
big thing.
I mean, that's where the big changes really start stemming from. It's like once you know you've walked it, then
Hmm.
now it's starting to see then how it, implements for other people, and then it kind of snowballs from there. Were there some things in particular, like very specific things that you noticed kind of needed to shift in order to see that like 30-day sort of like transformation of what really worked for you?
Well, I didn't know that it was going to happen within 30 days.
No,
And
yeah, we usually don't.
so but it was really funny because when I looked, I was like, oh my God, it's exactly 30 days since I actually started on that journey. I was like,
Mm,
wow, that is so cool. Like, okay, I can use that
yeah,
finally.
yeah.
But yeah, no, it started actually with just a few books that I ordered online. Like that was it. And obviously the determination, like, you know what? This is a problem and I need to fix it
Mm,
because this was in, yeah, early October when I really things started to look really dark, and I just knew that
yeah.
like this isn't gonna work, and and I've done a few things in the past, like trying to work on this relationship with money, going through James Wedmore's Mind Your Money program.
Yeah,
I went through
it's a
that 3 times.
great
Still haven't,
program.
still haven't, yeah, I still haven't finished it like 3 times. I got a little bit for a little bit for a little for,
Yeah.
but it just didn't click. Like it didn't work for me for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
And then, obviously looking at people like Ramit Sethi, which is, really good with money and all that kind of stuff, but
Yep.
nothing clicked. So the interesting thing was that I'm going a little ahead of myself here, but
Yeah, that's okay.
I saw a interview with Jay Shetty and Lewis Howes, and Lewis
Yes.
has just published a book called Make Money Easy.
Yeah.
And they were talking about like money stories and how you relate to money from like childhood and stuff like that. It's like it was an interesting conversation. Like that was like the catalyst of, you know what? Yeah, I'm gonna start looking into this finally.
Hmm.
So I decided, okay, I'm gonna order that book, go into Amazon, and I already have a book laying there in the basket, and it's called Happy Money by Ken Honda.
Uh-huh.
And it's like, oh, interesting. Okay, cool. Well, you know what? I'll order both. I'll
Yeah.
do that. It makes sense.
Yes.
Like since it's already there.
Yeah.
So I ordered both. They came in, and that's kind of where things started to really unfold as I started to read those two books. And I did that within 2 weeks, both of them cover to cover. But the smart thing that I did, and I think a lot of people should probably test this out as well, is I used ChatGPT as I was reading the book and
Mm-hmm.
just working through any insights, any things that I saw come up, limiting beliefs, whatever, and just kind of talk through it as I was reading the book and just kind of see if I could work through the patterns or the limiting beliefs I had and all that kind of stuff. And I think that really helped because then it's not just me sitting there reading the book and trying to absorb it, but I'm actually working through it and I'm not
Mm-hmm.
doing it on my own. I have someone to talk to.
Yeah.
Um, and I set up like within ChatGPT, you can set up a project folder and you can create this persona for, the person you're talking to. And so I kind of set all of that up to work on the money relationship as well. So that kind of also helped in that sense. But I think it
Yeah.
was a really cool thing to do because it helped me just not just absorb it, just work through it.
Yeah. I love that you just made that point because it's the actual like working through it and applying it that act like books are great because they start to give you those, frameworks and roadmaps and they are the information that can start and trigger it. But at some point you also have to actually be able to shift the things for yourself and take action on
Yeah.
those. And I find that to actually be the point where people struggle the most because they'll even like get like a health program, for example, and they can like go
Yep.
through the things and they can do the actual like implementation of the stuff. But a lot of the times programs will bring up our patterns, like our coping
It's all the
mechanisms.
voices back in the head, right?
Yeah, right, right, exactly. I mean, there's so many things that we learn and have learned since, the moment we came to, Earthside. And
Yeah.
because of all of that, we're the whole way that we see the world and we see money and we see health are all shaped by when we were younger, and now we see those patterns playing out as adults. And the I think the coolest thing is the like neuroplasticity is that you literally can change those neurons and you can change those patterns and you can learn something new. But
Hmm.
being actually able to shift them and change them is where
Yeah.
the power really comes from. We can read all the books in the world, but you've got to actually do the thing to like shift the stuff, you know?
Yeah, and it's
Um,
different for everyone though how that
mhm.
happens because like I said, like I went through this mindful money course and did
Yep.
absolutely nothing for me. I was aware, sure, but nothing
Yep.
was processing, nothing was happening, nothing was
Mm.
shifting until I started reading these books and working through them. And
Yeah.
it might have been just the language in the books as well, maybe. I don't know.
Yes.
Just because I
Yep.
related to money in a completely different way, especially happy money, where it's more about the flow of money, the energy of money, it's happy money. You give away money when you're happy instead of, giving away in anger. It's about receiving money.
Mm.
Um, just, yeah. I
I
even
love
had a
that.
vision like when he was talking about this, like where I could see like money just flowing from one house to another. It just isn't like a transaction, and it was just money everywhere. Like, oh, you're right, there is money everywhere. Like I can just reach out and grab it. which led me to another book, by the way, which is called The Power of Receiving, which is a book I have for a couple of years, actually. I got it from a friend, never read it, just sitting there waiting for this moment. And I started
I
reading it,
love
and it
that.
was like such a huge transformation because I
Yeah.
realized like I was blocking being able to receive.
Yep.
So even if the money was all around me, it wouldn't come near me because I was like, nope, not gonna happen. Don't come near me. Like that was like
Yeah.
the message I was sending out. But as I
Yeah.
started reading that book, it just opened up a whole new world. And, money did actually start flowing to me because I was
Mhm.
ready to start receiving.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly what you just talked about. I mean, just being able to receive it, but also having the nervous system, the ability
Mm,
to actually hold it, and be able not just yeah, it's not just about receiving, but actually being able to hold it is it's a whole other layer. And I love this conversation so much because we're talking about it in like the financial and like money standpoint, but it correlates in like the same journey, same path as it's the same for health as well. And we can block
absolutely.
ourselves from creating it and receiving it. And what I just loved the visual that you shared of just like seeing money like flowing between houses and homes and businesses, and you can just reach out and grab it. The things that we think and the way that we think about money and our relationship with money, the thoughts that we have are all reflections of our beliefs around money.
Hmm.
And the same thing is also with our health too, right? Like how we talk about ourselves and even the thoughts that we have about our body and our health and all of those things, they influence everything. And so the correlation or like the very similar journey, parallel journey that, between money and health, I'm just like absolutely loving all of
Yeah.
this
I
because it
mean,
applies.
just today, like earlier, like late summer, I was really good at taking walks, like 10,000 steps a day, and like really
Yeah.
good. And then, I started to look into the whole money stories and blah blah blah, and didn't know how to make it work. And it got colder outside, so things kind of stopped and didn't move that much anymore. And then I think it was like November, there was a deal at the gym, get 2 months for free, don't have to start paying until January. It's like, okay, sure, I'll sign up because then I can at least, work out inside. And I
Yes.
didn't go. I didn't go. It was just staying there like, oh
Yep.
no, not again. But today I decided, today's the day. I'm gonna go to this gym. I'm gonna take the walk, like do the treadmill or something like that. But even before I did that, like I had all these because I struggle a little bit, when things are uncertain, I don't know what's gonna happen, what
Mm.
it's gonna look like, blah blah blah. I
Yep.
start picking up all these thoughts in my head, like, okay, how do I get in? Like, because there's no people in that gym. Is Yeah.
Yes.
So you just have a key and it opens up and like, okay, do they have a locker? Where do I change? Like,
Uh-huh.
is there,
Uh-huh.
all these questions trying to keep me from going to
Yep.
this gym. And it's just, dude,
Mhm.
this is ridiculous. Like, this is just normal things. Like, there's nothing, you're not gonna die from this. But still, like, it was just bam, 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 bam coming at
Yep.
me. But I got in the car and I did go and I get on that treadmill today. So big celebration for that.
You. That's awesome. I love that though, because on the same side as like on the money side, those strategies that can, or the things that can kind of hold us back from actually showing up and going to the gym can be the same thing with money of like not really wanting to like look at the bank, or like how
Mhm.
would I even go about, chatting with someone to look at starting to learn how to invest, the conversations of not necessarily wanting to sound like somebody who doesn't necessarily know what to do or what, being super fresh. There's knowing those sorts of strategies of or like the ways that our brain can kind of get caught up and being like, well, I'm just not going to take action because I just don't know what to expect, and that uncertainty, being aware of those patterns then can really help in, many different areas, especially too if we know we really want something, but we know that, we're going to potentially get caught up in the like, okay, what's it actually going to look like? What's, do they have a locker? Am I going to be
Mhm.
able to get in? Like, what does all of that look like? We can start implementing things that help us to kind of overcome some of that. And that's one of the ways that we can bypass and help our brain out a little bit.
Yeah, I'll say this, like I've been working on like the mindset piece since I met James like in 2018.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's been a long journey in that sense, and I'm glad that I've done that work because I think it made it a little bit easier to kind of dive into this whole relationship with money and just
Yep.
having such a high level of awareness where I can actually stop myself and like, hold up, like there's something coming up here. Okay. And like I said, I use ChatGPT a lot. So I like if like something comes up, like a limiting belief, I go straight into ChatGPT, we
Yep.
discuss it, we walk through it, just kind of to because it's one thing like when you talk to yourself up in your head, like it just does not you're not getting it
Hmm.
in front of you, like you can't actually see it. So when you have someone kind of reflect it back to you, like, okay, this is what I'm seeing that you're saying to me, like they're
Yeah.
kind of mirroring you.
Yep.
Um, I think that helped a lot, just
Oh,
rise that level of
yes.
awareness a lot.
Yeah. I ended up in same in the business by design James Wedmore world. I ended up finding my coaches that I trained with for neurolinguistic programming, and then I worked with them for a long time, for multiple years, around business and health and just like all over life stuff. And that was one of the things that was so impactful, was that you like showing up and have and saying like, okay, like this week here are the things that happened, and them being able to then reflect back and mirror back, okay, here's what I'm hearing you saying, let's get more specific, where is this coming from? And then getting it down to that, belief, or is it an inner child thing, is it an emotions thing, what is it that is ultimately, underneath all of this? That level of support and being able to have that mirror, ChatGPT actually does it pretty well too, but in any
Yeah.
capacity of however you access it, like having that mirror of somebody being able to listen to you and be like pointing out, like, oh, you just said, like, trying to think, just a random one, but like, people will, if you literally listen to them, they'll tell you exactly what's going on in their subconscious mind.
Yeah.
And being able to have that then reflected back to you is one of the most helpful and transformative things ever. Because then once you get to choose, like once you have that awareness of really what's underneath it, then you get to choose something different. And when you get to choose
Hmm.
something different, now you start building new neurons, we have new emotions around it, and now you start reflecting
Yeah.
and creating a new pattern in your life. And that's literally like, and just as you mentioned, it can change. We can see these changes show up in like 30 days or less. Sometimes they take longer, but
Yeah. Well, I'll say like it's been years before we got to this point, but obviously, yeah,
yes.
there was a lot happening within those 30 days. That's
Yeah.
a
Yeah,
good point.
exactly. I love that. What are some of the wins that you noticed that kind of began unfolding when you started really digging into these books and digging into some of this like analysis and reflection with ChatGPT and just all of the things that you were doing? What were some of the wins that you noticed?
Well, I'll say this, like, a lot of people talk about manifestation and like how you
Yeah.
gotta think
Yep.
yourself to these things, but I also believe like nothing's gonna happen without you taking any action. You can't just say this is what I want and it's gonna come to you. Like it doesn't work. Like you actually have to do something in order to get there.
Mm-hmm.
So after starting reading the books, I did actually do a lot of things to make something happen. So I did talk to the bank, like figure out
Yeah.
like how do we do it with mortgage because we was 1 month behind. Like,
Yeah.
and there was a couple of debt collectors that
Yep.
they wanted their money. And it's like, can we come up with a payment plan? Like,
Yep.
and some of them said yes, some of them said no. The bank said, okay, we can figure something out. Still haven't actually done anything with it, but that's on them. I'll reach out. I've done my part.
Yeah.
Um, but these things started to happen, and I even hate like saying it, but I also applied for a credit card at the time because it's like
Mm-hmm.
that could be a lifesaver right now, just to kind of keep me afloat.
Mm-hmm.
And I had been applying throughout the summer, didn't get anything because I was living on a different address and they saw it
Yes.
as two housing
Yeah.
households and didn't like that.
Yep.
But yeah, sure enough, I got a $3,000 credit card right there that I didn't expect. It's like, thank you, universe. Like, okay, this is awesome. Like,
Yeah.
but again, like I think it was something about how I was open now to receive it and I actually took some actions and I was really clear on what I wanted because I like when I applied for that credit card, like okay, 35,000, that's what I need because I've done the spreadsheet
Yep.
and everything.
Yep.
And or 3,500. Sorry, I was talking Norwegian kroners, but $3,500 credit, that's what I need. And I got $3,000 credit. So it's like, wow,
Yeah.
that's pretty close. Okay, cool. I can live
Yeah.
with that.
Yeah.
Um, and one of the biggest wins was actually doubling my yearly income. And that's what kind of where I decided to go back to or ask my old job, like, "Hey, do you have anything available?" Because I saw they had this ad out, like they looking for someone to start full time. And I was
Sure.
like, no, I don't want to do that. Like, I don't want to go back to that.
Sure.
I was dreading it, but I figured, like, you know what? Let's give them a call. I have a good relationship with them. Maybe we can, start something small, maybe freelance, whatever. But they were pretty persistent, like, yeah, we want a full time. It's like, okay, give me a good offer and I'll think about it.
Yep.
And the next day they came with an offer, and it's like, okay, you actually went the extra mile. I'll take it. Like,
Mm-hmm.
let's do it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And as soon as I said yes to that, that was the 30-day mark. Um, and then literally doubling my yearly income with that job. So,
Mm-hmm.
and again, like I took the action,
Mm-hmm.
but the ad was there. I saw it because I was open to receiving, to
Yep.
seeing,
Yes.
and then taking
Yes.
action on that.
Yes.
And that's kind of how things unfold. So,
Yep.
yeah. And that, and the really funny thing is like a few minutes after midnight that same day, I got a $3 refund on a book that I pre-ordered for 6 months ago because something has changed in shipping rates or something like that. And then it's like, you gotta be kidding me. Okay, I'll take it. I'm grateful.
Yeah.
Like, thank you.
Yes.
$3. I'll take it.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah. Oh, I love that though, because you start seeing it in like all the various different ways. Like
yeah,
when,
it's not just, you're not just being handed money. It's
yeah.
just coming in different ways. You just got to learn how to see it.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. But that's when that's like the best part of releasing and shifting a lot of those like mental and emotional, like the shame, the guilt, like all of these different pieces that we feel around anything, but money in particular in this conversation anyway. But the once we make those shifts, it actually helps our nervous system, as you know, like shift more into a parasympathetic nervous system state, which opens up the possibilities. We start seeing all of these different opportunities versus it just being like one track. And so then
Hmm.
when you start seeing like, oh, there's abundance here, oh, there's abundance here, oh, there's money here, oh, there's money here, like, oh, there's $30 sitting in my PayPal account. Like, where did that
Yeah.
come from? And then you're just like, oh, wow, like look at all of this that's here that's coming in, and that reaffirms itself. It just continues to say like, okay, it's going to keep coming, it's going to keep coming, and then eventually it,
Mm-hmm.
and it's the same thing that happens with health too. You get that little thing of like, oh, I woke up this morning and I have energy today, like,
Hmm.
oh, okay, and then it chips away from there. But I love that. And that you were open, you had your, because you were in a state of being like, oh, and you see the ad. You could have entirely missed it. You could have even seen it and
I
completely
could have missed it
deleted
and
it and just not
ignored.
even seen
Yeah,
it as a
exactly.
possibility. Hmm.
Yeah.
Mindset is
I
so
mean, that,
powerful.
that that's the thing. Like everything is right in front. Like I said, money is floating around you all the time. You just
Yep.
gotta reach out your hand and kind of grab it.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. Before we wrap up, I really wanted to just see if you have any specific examples of some like old identities that you let go of that then
Mhm.
allowed you to sort of step into this new, like kind of aligned version of yourself and what you're now doing with your business and in your life and all of those things. I'm just kind of curious if you have any specific examples of some of those things that you let go of.
I mean, there's been a lot identities that I let go of. Obviously, I'm no longer the husband, obviously. I'm not necessarily the caregiver like that I used to be. I'm not the fixer. Like I'm not fixing everything for
Fixer.
everyone. Yeah.
Yep.
Um,
Yep.
and I did leave like the old sales page guy as well. Like I left that. Even that was a hard one for me as well because I have been working with a client for I think it was like 6 months, and we couldn't get the results that I promised her. And that was like really hard for me to just accept that we didn't get it. And
Mm.
the guarantee that I gave her was like, if we don't get the results, you can get your money back, which was like $750. And like, I don't have that money. So like if she asks for it, I don't know what to do. So I
Yeah.
was afraid to just even say that I think we actually have to like say enough is enough. This is not working.
Hmm.
But again, like I took the action, told her like, okay, we haven't gotten your results, and I know that's what we promised, and you're in your full right to ask for a full refund, partial refund, or no refund, but that's up to you. And I said that and just left it to her, and she was like, you know what? I couldn't ask for a full refund, not even a partial refund. Like,
Yeah.
you did the work, we didn't make it happen, and but I value the friendship more
Mm.
than the money. So that in itself too is was, I was open to receive the fact that she didn't ask for a refund as well.
Yeah.
Just because I decided to take that action and just
Hmm.
be honest and transparent about it and just like that's it.
Yeah.
So leaving that at identity as well took a
Mm.
lot of courage just to say, you know what, this is the end of the road because it was just a year, but I was really hyper focused on it. I was really believing in it. But as I started to see like the whole money thing coming to life, I knew that, that wasn't the thing for me.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. And also too, I also really appreciate you sharing her part of it as well because especially when anytime we step into like a coaching container or we step into getting help from someone or support or guidance or just anything with anyone, there actually really never is a guarantee that you're going to actually get the results because like
No,
what you could be doing could be the absolute amazing thing, but again, if my subconscious mind has its own stuff that's there's so many different factors that can create a certain type of result. So like
of
you could
course,
have the
yeah.
most amazing thing ever, and I could actually be the one that's kind of, preventing some of it from happening. And I will say this too, it's the one that I have been working on the most because I've really had to come up close to it and face it of I always want things to happen on my own timeline. They don't always happen on my own timeline.
No,
And so, you may have done the best work in the world, and for her timeline of when she's really meant to like have these results come, it just may not have necessarily been at that moment in those 6 months. But some of the things you may have done with her, could show up in the future, who knows
who
down the
knows?
line. But we don't
Yeah.
we don't have control a lot of the time over that timeline, and that can sometimes be the most frustrating to deal with.
Yeah. Yeah. Timelines are funny like that. Like it
Yeah.
happens when it needs to happen and you
Yeah.
have no saying in it. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. But I love that we do at the same time have full capacity, full ability to be able to actually transform and shift and create what we want.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is at the root of like I loved how you talked about it is about the start with the mindset, but there are actions that we need to take. The thing I always say though is that like we can start taking a bunch of actions, but if the mindset piece isn't in alignment first, you can do all
Mm,
sorts of things and they can lead to nowhere. But once you have that alignment and that very good like clarity over what you need, where you want to go, what you want it to look like, and you're starting to shift through the things that actually are blocking you from being able to put that into your life and create it. Now, the actions that you take are aligned actions. They actually shift you in the direction towards what you want. And the universe also is a nice co creator in there too and is like, here's this ad
yeah.
for this job, which I think is really great. It's just a fun thing to get to like reflect back on and look
Yeah.
at.
No, but it's kind of like how I put together my framework as well. Like it's,
Mm,
the first step is to reconnect. And you got the way of reconnecting is like looking back at your old money stories. Like, what do they look like? Figure this out. Like, work through those. And
yes.
then you can get aligned like you said, because then you know what the problem is, and then you can start taking actions that are more aligned. And once you get to that point, you can start open to receive. So it's really reconnect, align, receive. Simple as that.
Yes.
Like, makes so
This is
much sense.
excellent framework. I love it. I love it. Awesome. Is there anything else that you wanted to share or talk about as we start to wrap this up? Anything we didn't touch on?
The only thing that we didn't touch on was this meeting I had with my friend of mine,
Oh,
Peter from Australia,
yes.
which was really a huge moment as well for me
Mm,
because he's coming from Australia, visiting me while he's on a trip in Europe with his family, and he's taking a 3 days trip into Norway, which was really awesome. But like the first night we sat down, he had this idea. that he had years ago that came up a few weeks before that.
Hmm.
And he just shared it. And it's like he just wanted to like help people that help people. Like that was like the simple idea. It's like, oh, okay, cool. And then he started talking about what that looked like giving people a break, breathing room, like, and he was like just talking directly to me, like,
Mm.
oh my God, do you know how much I could have needed that? Like, whether that was, getting people a vacation, paying some bills, paying off debt, helping them with, getting publicity, whatever. Like, it could be so many things. And like that idea like turned me on like so much, like, oh my God. So I went straight home, uh, jumped into ChatGPT, started brainstorming out a little bit, and then came back to him with like, oh, well, this is what it could look like. And I get really excited. And he was
Mm.
like, wow, okay, wow, I haven't really like this was just a vision I had like for him. And now it's starting to look like something. And we, chatted more over some wine and dinner. And the last day before he left, like we sat for 2 hours brainstorming, like what could this look like in a tangible way? Like who do we help? How do we help? And how do we get started? And it like it's like a legacy thing,
Mhm.
like a really true, deeper purpose thing where you can actually help people. And it's called the ARC Foundation. So it's a what is it? An act of random kindness. So we bring kindness into the world. Yeah,
Yeah,
it is so beautiful, and I love it. And it
that's
really is like a deeper purpose kind of a thing. Like I haven't had that before as well. So that kind of helped me start with this and connecting all the dots. And, I can use the money piece with this and we can start like having a bridge between us. And, just imagine how big it could be. Like it could be $1 billion company and we can have all these famous people connected to us that can help us spread the word and spread more kindness into the world. Like yeah,
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
really exciting.
Okay. Okay. Last thing that I'll say, because I love that so much. I'm so excited about that. But the one of the really deep reasons why I got into this work and I do what I do is because when people are in alignment, when they transform, when they are in a place where they're really meant to be, the things that get created from that
Mm,
space are oftentimes extremely impactful. And they may not necessarily be on like the $1 billion level, which I love it.
sure.
Like, let's go.
That's the vision. Like we're both visionaries, by the way. So like we
Let's
just went
go.
right there.
Yeah. But also, even if, it's just from one person to another, if one other person's life is
Especially
changed,
one, right?
it just even one person, the ripple effect of that is massive. And that's so I just love it because again, like the more healed that people become, the more wholeness that they step into, and it's always a journey. There's always more that we have to do and we
Of
get to do,
course.
and
Yeah.
every step of the way there's more. But when we say like, okay, I'm going to do this thing and I'm going to take this on and I'm going to face the stuff and because it matters, not just to me, but it matters for so many other people as well. Again, the things that get created are just so amazing. And I just picture a world where, more and more people are healing and, stepping into more wholeness. And I know how cheesy that sounds, but like really like when we start, and I mean that very sincerely though, because
Yeah.
as we start shifting these fragments and parts of ourselves that we, created in order to get through life growing up, the the more whole we become, also then what gets created is so much more positive for the world too. And so
Yeah.
it's a huge deep why that I have for why I do what I do. And I'm just so appreciative and I'm so glad that we got to have this conversation today because it's so clear that like what you're doing and how you are, learning and shifting and transforming and what you're really creating it's gonna help people. It's gonna help people.
Yeah.
Already I know that this conversation
Yeah.
will
And even if
probably
it
I'm
doesn't
gonna
like
get someone that's like, oh my God, that was amazing. So
but I mean even like I know that I've, changed myself, which means I get to impact the next generation, which is my kids. Like I can give them
yes.
tools and
Yes.
wisdom that I didn't get as a kid. And that's going
Yep.
to change two kids.
Yep.
Uh, and hopefully they can
Yeah.
take that on and change it for, you know,
Hmm.
whoever. So
Yep.
the ripple
I
effect.
love it. Oh, I love it. So to connect with you, where can they find you if somebody wants to say hi and see what you're up to?
Yeah. I am mainly on Threads,
Okay.
simply because I love the written format much more than
Yeah.
having to create tons of content, videos, and reels and stuff like that. But I am on Instagram as well. It's just Ken Westgaard. That's it. So it's
Perfect.
pretty easy to find, or just search for the Mindful Money Mentor and you'll find me.
Excellent. I will have both of those linked in the show notes. And then does the ARC Foundation have anything created yet? Like a,
Nothing yet.
not yet.
It's
Okay.
still in the idea phase, and we're not rushing anything. We're taking it really slow because, this is going to be legacy work. So it doesn't need to, you know, start running. Like
Yeah,
it needs
totally.
to slowly grow, and yeah, it's going to
Well,
be beautiful.
in the future, when it is, I will come back and I will update the show notes. So just let me
Yeah.
know when it's up there.
I'll keep you
Um,
posted.
yeah, because it sounds amazing and I'm really excited about what you guys are creating. So thank you so much for being on the show and for sharing your story and for being so, open with everything that you've been through and about your transformational journey. It is really in the sharing of stories that other people, start to step and shift and see what's possible for them too. So I just really appreciate you spending the time to come on and chat with me today.
Thank you so much for just having me. And yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, this is the new me. Like, I want to be more transparent. I want to be open. I want to share even the bad stuff. Like, even if it hurts for me as well, because it's just, I know there's got to be someone out there who needs to hear it.
Yep. Absolutely. All right. Well, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Take care.